This is NBC News special coverage of the Democratic National Convention. Live from Chicago, here is Tom Llamas.
We are live tonight from the United Center in Chicago for night 3 of the Democratic National Convention. Right now, anticipation and excitement is building as the man hoping to be second in command steps up to the podium. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz set to deliver the most consequential speech of his political career. You can see the thousands packed in the arena just behind me, many of which didn't even know his name until he was thrust onto the national stage just 2 weeks ago. We want to take a live look at the convention floor right now, where the theme is Fight for Our Freedom. Speaking right now live, Teresa Kumar from Voto, Latino. Let's listen in.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won Georgia by 12,000 votes. Voto Latino, we registered 23,000 voters there. They won Arizona by 10,400 votes. We registered 34,000 voters there. Because we proved that when Latinos vote, Democrats win. Now, they're trying to suppress our vote. Boo. Our sacred and universal right as Americans. So let me be clear. Voto Latino has registered 1.5 million voters. And we are just getting started. Because since 2020, 4 million young Latinos have become eligible to vote this election. And I couldn't be prouder because we are registering them faster than any time in our history. This year, we will prove it again. Would Latinos vote? You guys got the memo. Another fun fact, this year, more Latinos will vote than any time in our history. So that means, sí se puede, se está haciendo, sí se puede. So that means that together, we will make history and elect Kamala Harris president. Vota!
All right, we've just been listening to Teresa Kumar from Voto Latino. Democrats, of course, hoping that Latino vote turns out for the Democrats on Election Day. I want to get right down to the convention floor once again, where Peter Alexander is live for us. Peter, we've just gotten some breaking news, and Oprah Winfrey is now going to appear at the DNC. This has been confirmed by our reporters. She's a name people know, right? But a name many voters down there did not know until this entire process started. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. What are you hearing from the delegates, the donors, and the people in the convention hall?
Well, you know, when you talk to people in this convention hall, though, he may not be a familiar name around much of the country. These folks know their political, Democratic politics as well as anybody. So he was a name with which they were familiar. They got a better sense of him when he had that first event in Philadelphia alongside Kamala Harris now just exactly 2 weeks ago. What is it, 13 days ago, not even 2 weeks. They're excited to hear from him, and it's really his affability in their eyes, the ability to relate to average Americans, his Midwestern rural roots that they think will help make him an asset to this ticket going forward, particularly in some of those key battleground states, the Wisconsins, the Michigans, and the Pennsylvanias as well. Right now, as you know, we are in the state of New York. Their delegation, as they have one of their own congressmen up on stage right now, preparing to speak. And strikingly, they're excited to hear from from the former President Clinton, who was the Secretary of Explaining Stuff. Hoping he could explain on behalf of Vice President Harris tonight.
All right, Peter Alexander for us. The Empire State is in the House. Let's listen in to New York Representative Tom Suozzi.
Was elected the youngest judge in the history of New York State. What a country. The immigrant experience, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. My family's experience, Kamala Harris's experience, the American experience. That's why the polarization on immigration is so painful. Let's be clear. The border is broken. But this year, when Democrats and Republicans worked together to finally write new border laws, we were blocked. We all know who sabotaged us. We reject the divisiveness. We reject the dysfunction. We reject the deception. My Italian grandfather used to toast new couples. He'd say marriage sometimes is hard, but in the end, non ci sono rose senza spine. You can't have the roses without the thorns. You have to work for it. To be a nation of immigrants is hard sometimes too. You have to work for it. Tonight, we celebrate the roses of life. We come together from every state, from every ethnicity, from every race and religion. We come together tonight to celebrate our candidate, Kamala Harris, who knows America is worth it, who knows this nation, built by immigrants, is a rare and beautiful thing, and who joyfully accepts the challenge to work across party lines, to secure our border, to treat people like human beings, and to move our country forward.
As we've mentioned, a lot of top Democrats have taken to the stage so far at the DNC, but we've also heard from a former Trump insider. Stephanie Grisham served as chief of staff and press secretary to First Lady Melania Trump and then served as the White House press secretary under former President Trump. But she became the first senior staffer to resign on January 6th. Here's what she told this convention about her insight into the former president.
I wasn't just a Trump supporter. I was a true believer. I was one of his closest advisors. The Trump family became my family. I spent Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's all at Mar-a-Lago. I saw him when the cameras were off. Behind closed doors, Trump mocks his supporters. He calls them basement dwellers.
Stephanie Grisham joins our special coverage live right now. So, Stephanie, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
We worked together when I covered the Trump campaign back in 2016, and after that when you were in the White House. When you told the convention hall, you told me privately, you did consider the Trump family your own family at times. And I know today has been sort of a tough day. I know there's been some really bad reaction on social media from Republicans, from those on the far right as well that have attacked you in very disgusting ways. A lot of love in this room for you, but I know it's been a tough day for you. What has that been like?
Well, you said it best. It's been tough. You know, there's always feelings of guilt. I mean, I'm just a human being, but I know that what I did was right, and I knew that this was incoming. I used to be part of the MAGA world, and I used to do it to people myself. So in some ways, maybe I deserve it a little, but I'm okay. I know I did the right thing.
Yeah. What made you want to come out here and address this convention? Because that is a very big move. I mean, you've essentially, I would say you probably understand this too, sort of ended your career in Republican politics probably. Why did you make that decision?
Well, my career is done, and I don't want to be in politics ever again, but because I want to reach people. I think that the Harris-Walz campaign has been really great about reaching out to others, not just Republicans, and they created, or not just Democrats, excuse me, and so they created the Republicans for Harris coalition, and when they asked me to be part of that, I said yes, and I feel like I can reach some Republican women or some more independent voters and just tell the truth of who he really is. Nobody else has spent as much time with that family as I did.
Yeah, you could have sort of stopped all this, stayed in Kansas, taking care of your animals as you're doing now. You know the MAGA world, some of the MAGA world were going to come after you. Was there a moment of hesitation where you said, is it going to be worth it to get all that flack?
Yeah, I think you have to think about that, and especially now, you know, with my own family and with the animals at my sanctuary, but I only thought about it for a second. I think this is important. I think this is going to be one of the most important elections in our modern history, and so to try to even turn 10, 15 votes, I'll do it.
We've spent a lot of time talking politics as I was covering the campaign and understanding you when you were, helping us understand the former president and trying to spin for him, I know your politics are more Republican, conservative-leaning politics.
Yep.
Will you vote for Vice President Harris, and why exactly are you going to vote? Is it the single issue of that you hate former President Trump and you're worried about another presidency?
Well, yes, I'm going to vote for her. I endorsed her, and I do plan to vote for her. I don't know that it's just about hate. This is not just me being a disgruntled employee. This is about our country's freedom, and he's going to go back into that administration if he were to win with no guardrails. He won't have to worry about re-election. He will not have Vice President Pence to stop him. He's saying he has nothing to do with Project 2025, and that's absolutely not true. They're probably just going to slap a new name on it, and he's going to take away a lot of freedoms, I think, from many Americans.
Yeah, I know you spent a lot of time with former First Lady Melania Trump. You were her top aide. I know since the January 6th incident happened, you haven't spoken to her since then. What do you think is going to happen if he does win the election? Do you think she comes back to the White House? Do you think she continues her work as a First Lady?
Yeah, I think that, she really is passionate about children, and I think she'll continue to do that. I could see her maybe splitting her time and being at the White House for really major events, traveling for major events, and then spending time, in Florida or New York. But who knows? I've not talked to her, but I do think she would continue to do work on behalf of children. That's a true passion.
And so what's next for Stephanie Grisham? Are you going to actively work for the Harris-Walz ticket, or was this sort of a one-time event?
Pop out and then go hide again? No, I will still work for them if the event is impactful enough. I've got several animals to take care of, and it's hard to just up and leave them. But if they need me, if they think I can be impactful somewhere, I will absolutely do it, especially in my home state of Arizona.
Yeah. You've been with Republicans most of your adult life, right? Working in Republican politics. What have you learned from hanging out with Democrats for a little bit?
Well, they're very friendly. They seem very, very happy. It's been very welcoming, and I think that everybody just wants to move forward from what our administration has caused. You can really tell the difference. The RNC is just, the country's a mess, everything's bad, only Trump can fix it, bad, bad, bad. And these guys are like, we could all work together, come on in, join us, and let's put the country forward. And I think our country really needs that right now.
Stephanie Grisham, we appreciate your time. We thank you for joining our special coverage here at the Convention Hall in Chicago. We're going to take a live look and dip into some of the coverage down there at the stage. Coming up right now, we're going to get mic'd up, is Kentucky's Governor Andy Beshear. He's going to get mic'd up in about 10-15 seconds. We're going to talk to him live right here. Let's listen into the stage.
For your mistakes. One of those mistakes happened 60 years ago in a neighborhood called Bronzeville, brimming with black music, black culture, and entrepreneurship. And then came urban renewal and the construction of Interstates 94 and 43, ripping our communities apart. 6th Street was widened and people of color were displaced. Homes destroyed, businesses shuttered, all for a quicker commute. Under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, we're bringing Bronzeville back. With more green space, bike paths, and walkable streets to serve people who actually live there. The music is coming back. The culture is coming back. And thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure law, the opportunities are coming back. It's now my privilege to introduce two Milwaukeeans who know firsthand the power of reconnecting our communities, Rashawn Spivey and Deanna Branch.
We've just been listening in there to the mayor of Milwaukee. We want to come back here live to our set because we have Kentucky's governor here, Andy Beshear. Governor, thank you so much for joining our special coverage here inside of Chicago. How's it been for you? You got to address this crowd yesterday. It's been a busy couple of days for you.
Yes.
Talk to me about the Democratic Party that you've witnessed here.
It's incredible. I've never seen this level of energy in politics at any point in my life. It's this vice president stepping forward and the party being more unified unified than I've ever seen. I mean, look, I've been out there. Josh Shapiro will be out there. Mark Kelly will be out there. We are all not just excited about Vice President Harris. We're excited about our friend Tim Walz.
How do Democrats maintain this sort of energy, this excitement, this enthusiasm? I ask that because, you know, Democrats, I think right now are sort of in that Harris honeymoon period, right? There's been very great coverage. You guys are having a great convention. Your poll numbers are up. At some point, the vice president is going to have to sit down for interviews, be questioned, and really be vetted by the American people as well. You have the campaign manager even saying the American people don't know Vice President Harris yet. If that is the case, how do Democrats make sure they have all this goodwill and it doesn't get too intense in the next 75 days?
Well, it's about not just this energy, but hard work. It's about knocking the doors, making the phone calls, raising the money. It's about making sure that we fight in every county, because there aren't red counties or blue counties. They're just counties with our American families that deserve leadership. It's not taking any of this for granted at all, and it's about talking about the ideas and the contrast. Listen, Donald Trump's trying to pull us back, to fight all his old grudges, to get vengeance on all of his enemies from 4 years ago. Kamala Harris is talking about moving forward, more tax credits for the middle class, more affordable housing, things that can move the country forward for my kids and other people's kids and grandkids.
You know, there's a saying that says the whale only gets harpooned when it surfaces. You've gotten a lot of attention lately because you were on the short list to be a potential running mate. You're a Democratic governor, in a red state. You figured that out, how to do that. Do you worry at all that now your high-profile nature now in the Democratic Party may hurt you back home?
No, I didn't get in this to have high approval ratings. I got in this to get things done. You know, what we're seeing in Kentucky is our best economy ever. We've broken every record for private sector investment, new jobs, wages, exports, tourism. And I know that Vice President Harris will keep that going. We just scratched the surface in the spending in the bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act. The BEAD Act is going to run internet to every home and every business across Kentucky. And I can't wait to be governor of Kentucky, working with then President Harris to get that done.
You know how to win in a red state. If you could give one piece of advice to Vice President Kamala Harris, what would you tell her?
That when most people wake up in the morning, they're not thinking about this race or the polls. They're thinking about their job. They're thinking about how long it takes to get to the doctor. They're thinking about the roads and bridges they drive, the public safety in their community, and the schools their kids are going to. So there's a lot of issues to talk about, but make sure we govern where people live.
Governor Beshear, we appreciate your time. We thank you for being here tonight. We want to go back down live to the stage. Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester from President Biden's home state of Delaware speaking now. She was the first woman and first black lawmaker to serve Delaware in Congress, currently running for a seat in the Senate. Let's listen in.
President Biden, we love you, Joe. In Delaware, we know that when small businesses thrive, communities thrive. We know that when our roads and our bridges are strong, communities are strong. When everyone has a fair shot at a better future, America is limitless. Now, Democrats, we know this, but you know who doesn't know it? Donald Trump. He has, with his friends, said the quiet parts out loud, but not only said them out loud, he wrote a book about it. What's it called? Project 2025. So with so much on the line, we've got to turn our biggest challenges into our greatest and brightest of hope. For me, Bright Hope was the name of the church that my grandmother attended for 70 years in Philadelphia. It's not just a name. It's how I approach my life. It's how I'll lead as Delaware Senator. And it's how Kamala sees the future of America. Now, there are some who think our politics are too broken for Bright Hope. But if you want to see hope, just look. Bright Hope is record numbers of black and brown entrepreneurs starting businesses. Bright Hope is an opportunity economy where we invest in our communities and build affordable housing. Ladies and gentlemen, Bright Hope is 4 words. Madam President Kamala Harris. Are you ready for Bright Hope? Are you ready to fight for our freedom? Are you ready to flip the House, protect the Senate,
All right, we've just been listening to Representative Lisa Blunt Rochester from Delaware. For more on what's to come tonight here at night 3 of the DNC, I want to bring in our political pros tonight. Alencia Johnson, she's a Democratic strategist and a senior advisor on the Biden 2020 campaign. Cornell Belcher, a Democratic pollster and an NBC News political analyst. And Florida Republican Congressman Mike Waltz, I should say, the great state of Florida, who's also a Trump campaign surrogate. We thank you guys all for being here. Alencia, I want to start with you. Let's take a look at the headlines about Vice President Harris when she was vice president over the first 3 years. Here are some of those headlines right here. They were very tough. The first 3 years, some of the coverage here, Kamala Harris is stuck, not a healthy environment. Kamala Harris 1 year, when did it go wrong for her? And then these are the headlines over the last 3 weeks. Let's look at this here. It's completely changed. The Kamala Harris juggernaut, how Kamala Harris is winning over Wall Street, how Kamala Harris has found her footing in the spotlight. Clearly there's some momentum here, clearly some great press coverage, whoever's responsible for that. How do you maintain that? And at some point, is she going to have to start answering questions?
Well, look, I actually think those early headlines are a bit unfair because, quite frankly, I didn't hear those headlines about Vice President Biden or Dick Cheney or Al Gore.
You think it's simply just because she was a woman?
I think it's because she's a black woman, and the goalpost continues to move as you get further along.
So then why did it flip these last 3 weeks?
It flipped because, as we've seen, we just came out of a conversation around freedoms, defining freedoms. There are so many people in our coalition that are concerned about the rights to our bodies, to bodily autonomy, to live. In addition to that, they are excited about the next generation. And Vice President Harris actually captures that energy. What is more representative of what's moving America forward than a black woman as president?
Now, the polls so far have been very good for the Harris-Walz tickets, right? They're ticking up little by little. I think, I'm not going to bet on it, I think the numbers will keep going up. The convention so far, if things keep going as planned, have been very good for Democrats. Where do you see the race then going from there? There's still about 75 days left.
Well, we're kind of in uncharted waters because if you look at what has happened over like the last 3 weeks, something has happened that I as a pollster, I thought I'd never see, and it's in line with those headlines. She's gone from a net unfave to a net fave in just two or three weeks. That never happens over. You can spend $100 million, and it's hard to get that sort of movement to happen. But also understand, it's not come from campaign spending. It's come from the grassroots. It's come from people on social media. It's come from young people making memes. So this is really sort of a grassroots sort of power and mobilization, and her numbers are moving really rapidly. On top of that, like, not only is she doing good in the battleground states, but look at the cash they're raising. Like, the money they're raising, and I work for Obama, and we didn't raise money like this.
I worked for him too. He did not.
And you raise money like this, and you look at those sort of numbers, I actually expect them to sort of put more states in play after this convention and make Republicans go on the defensive in even more states than they are right now.
Let's talk about Republicans. Representative Mike Waltz. I was talking to undecided voters today, some who lean right, who were telling me that, listen, you can say what you want about the Obamas. Maybe they don't agree with them politically. They are incredible speakers, and they are incredible messengers. Michelle Obama, I would say, maybe even surpassed the former president yesterday. It was interesting. When Biden was running, they said there was going to be a coalition behind him, supporting him, propping him up. That never happened. We're seeing that with Harris. How do the Republicans campaign and fight against that?
Well, first, I just have to comment. I worked for Dick Cheney, and the headlines for him and the treatment for him was quite terrible. I don't know where we're getting that it was favorable by any means. But you are seeing that shift. I'm glad you pointed it out, and we're seeing essentially a media coronation. I mean, in the immediate wake of Biden's terrible debate, Kamala Harris was barely even mentioned. We heard Whitmer, we heard this governor, we heard that person. But look, at the end of the day, she had her hands on the cash as part of the co-campaign, and she also was essentially given the delegates.
How do Republicans turn the tide? Because this is where the race is at right now.
Well, look, we're going to get through this sugar high that we have right now. That is natural during a convention, and then the real race begins. And at the end of the day, we've got gasoline that's 50% higher, electricity that's 31% higher, food that's 25% higher. Even hotel rooms are 40 to 50% higher, so people can't even take a basic vacation this summer. That isn't going to change despite the rhetoric, sugar high, media coverage, or what have you. And I think those economic and immigration issues are still going to rule the roost at the end of the day.
I want you guys to stay put. I love this conversation, but we got to dip in. It's Dip in Palooza tonight. This is Colorado Governor Jared Polis. He's speaking right now. Let's listen in.
Sounds crazy. But right here on page 562, it says that Donald Trump could use an obscure law from the 1800s to single-handedly ban abortion in all 50 states, even putting doctors in jail. Page 486 puts limits on contraception. Page 450 threatens access to IVF. On page 455, Project 2025 says that states have to report miscarriages to the Trump administration. Page 451 says the only legitimate family is a married mother and father where only the father works. You know what? I'm going to take that one out. I'm going to put that in my pocket so I can share it with undecided voters so they better understand what's at stake this election. Project 2025 would turn the entire federal government and bureaucracy into a massive machine. It would weaponize it to control our reproductive and personal choices. Look, as a Redditor, gamer, entrepreneur, and Swiftie from the free state of Colorado, I'm excited by Kamala Harris's vision for protecting and expanding our personal freedom, internet freedom, and economic freedom. Democrats welcome weird, but we're not weirdos telling families who can and can't have kids who to marry or how to live our lives. These Project 2025 people, like Trump and Vance, are not just weird, they're dangerous. They want to take us backwards, but we aren't going back, like ever, ever, ever. Let's stop Project 2025 and elect Kamala Harris president this November.
All right, the governor there with the Taylor Swift reference. Representative Walz, since we have you here, I do want you to respond to that. You know, former President Trump was the king of putting nicknames on people and sticking, and now Democrats are trying to call your party weird. They're calling Vance weird and Trump weird. Is that something that's going to stick?
Yeah, look, I'm not hearing it from any of my voters. You know, what's not weird is groceries you can afford. What's not weird is a world that is secure. Just a few years ago, ISIS largely defeated, Iran broke, and we had peace breaking out with the Abraham Accords. Now you literally have Americans as hostage sitting in tunnels beneath Gaza. We have the largest war since World War II in Europe, and with no end in sight. So I don't think deterrence or peace through strength is weird. I don't think an economy that's roaring is weird. I don't think safety for your family in our cities or elsewhere is weird. So really, I mean, let's get down to the brass tacks of what is going to make things more affordable, what policies are going to work. We are blessed with energy in this country. If we'd simply unleash American oil and gas, you drive down the global price of oil, you solve our inflation problem, and you dry up Putin and Iran's war machine all at the same time. I don't think any of that's weird.
Alencia, that's probably what's going to come up at the first debate between Vice President Harris and former President Trump, depending on where that debate goes. You never know. You know, when Kamala Harris announced she was going to run for president a while back, 2020, you know, she had all this excitement, huge crowds. She didn't even make it to Iowa. The fundraising dried up. Is there a fear among Democrats that once they put her out there and once she starts answering questions, she's at the debates, it may all fall apart?
Listen, I actually don't think so. I think Democrats have learned from some of the past mistakes. Look, President Biden was running for president several times, right? Just because you had one failed presidential campaign doesn't mean you can't have a successful one, clearly. President Biden knows that, and she was his number 2. The other thing that we have seen about Vice President Harris is her confidence on the campaign trail. You've also seen the staffing shifts and changes. You've also seen that she is very clear in articulating policies. So I actually think this momentum we have at our convention this week around when we'll also have our debate, that will actually galvanize supporters behind her. And something to what Cornell was saying around the grassroots efforts, you have people self-organizing. You have 70,000 Republicans organizing around Vice President Harris. And so the grassroots is really what's going to bolster her her and help us through the finish line.
Cornell, I want to put a poll up for our viewers here so they can see it. This is the New York Times Siena College polls out of those battleground states. It found that these voters that they talked to, they found Harris more liberal than they found Trump more conservative. Is that a perception she's going to have to change for independent voters? Or do you think those kind of numbers, when you look at crosstabs, they don't really matter?
Well, I don't know what ideology means anymore, because once upon a time, Donald Trump wasn't a conservative. And I find it hilarious that they don't think he's conservative, because most of the conservatives I actually know don't think that he's necessarily
a conservative, like one back to Ronald Reagan.
Well, or Reagan, or not that long ago, the Bushes.
You're right. So, or even a neoconservative.
Or even Cheney.
Yeah.
Right? I will notice that the Cheneys are, in fact, not on board with this conservative. I also got to lean into this conversation, because I love what the congressman's doing, because this is the narrative that will drive this campaign. They want to say America is Gotham City. It's all doom and gloom, and America's failing. It's interesting to me that Biden won the last time around with more votes than anyone has ever gotten before. Clearly, voters didn't think that America was in great shape and was doing fantastic the last time that Trump was in office. I think Biden and the Vice President have a fantastic story to tell about the direction the economy is going and the direction the country is going. And I think it's going to be a really interesting sort of the joy versus Gotham City and the doom and gloom.
You're skipping over a global pandemic that was in the middle of the 2020 election, but here nor there. We kind of didn't mention that part with a global shutdown.
Well, yeah, that's part and parcel why he lost, because he so poorly handled the global pandemic and telling people to inject themselves with bleach. No, Americans rejected that, and I think they're going to reject it again.
Cornell, you mentioned the word joy. We know that the Democrats and the Harris-Walz-like team are trying to push that word joy. Talk to me from a polling perspective and a messaging perspective. Why?
Because in the end, I know the three of us who are in sort of political hats, we wanted to make it all about sort of policy and agenda. But that 23-year-old walking around the battleground states who feels disillusion about what's happening in this country and feels that we're always fighting against each other, there's a feeling there that reminds me of 2008. And you can't put a political metric on the feeling of Americans wanting to come together and be happy and joyful about being in America and be optimistic about the future.
But will joy work when you're running against someone like President Trump?
The 20-year-old often doesn't vote very much, but the 65-year-old that's on a fixed income that is losing month after month buying power, that is seeing their 401k evaporate, people that can't afford a car because of high interest rates, can't afford a first home because of high interest rates, really can't afford much. And many of those 20-year-olds are back living with their parents because they got a degree that didn't prepare them for the workforce, and they're loaded with $250,000 in debt. Now, we could throw out gimmicks like we saw in Harris's economic plan, but they're not serious solutions. I think people are going to see right through.
Does it bother you that former President Trump can't focus sort of on what the campaign sometimes wants him? He even said today, they want me to talk policy, but I want to talk personal attacks. He literally said that. Yeah. So does that bother you as somebody who's won racism in a battleground state like Florida?
President Trump's going to be President Trump, and when he feels hit, he's going to hit back. But if you look at the rest of the speech, it was about accountability for Afghanistan. Right now, as we speak, this is the 3-year anniversary of that despicable withdrawal. Monday is the 3-year anniversary of Abbey Gate. We've heard Trump's name 147 times. We've heard inflation 3, and we've heard Afghanistan and accountability for it 0. He talked a lot about that today. He talked a lot about the recruiting crisis in our military and the readiness crisis in our military and the unprecedented threats that we face from China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran that we're not dealing with.
Representative, we're going to have to leave it there. Alencia Cornell, thank you so much for being here. This was a great conversation. We want to get back down to the stage. This is Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison speaking. He's a progressive leader and a member of the Democratic Farm Labor Party who served Minnesota for more than a decade in the House. Vice President Harris, of course, rose to prominence as California's AG. Let's listen in.
Heartbroken. I was angry. And that morning, my phone rang. And on that line was Governor Tim Walz. Tim Walz felt the exact same way I did. And a few days later, Tim appointed me to prosecute Floyd's murder. Almost a year after that, minutes after the guilty verdict came down, my phone rang again. And it was Vice President Kamala Harris. calling to congratulate my team and the work. Now, Kamala and Tim, they understand the legacy of George Floyd. No one is above the law, and no one is beneath it. No one is outside the circle of our compassion. In the Republican Party, everyone thinks they're above the law. Hell, nearly a dozen of their own lawyers are facing serious charges. Even their lawyers need lawyers. These con artists are trafficking in the defective goods of division, exclusion, and fear. And friends, selling defective goods is a scam. And like Kamala Harris, I am an attorney general. And attorney generals know what a scam is when they see it. Like my friend Tish James, for example, from New York. America, we won't be scammed again. We're not going back, we are going forward. And Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are ready to lead us there. I've worked side by side with Tim Walz for 18 years. His office is right across the hall from mine. And I've seen him deliver for the people of the state of Minnesota every day. Everybody knows Minnesota is one of the best states to live in, to raise a family, to do business, and we've got the best voter turnout in America. Facts. Kamala and Tim, they fight for the people, and they also listen. And when they say we need a ceasefire and an end to the loss of innocent lives in Gaza, and to bring hostages home, they're listening, friends. They agree with us. There are people watching tonight, and maybe even here tonight, who aren't sure yet about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. If you want to know where they stand on some of the most urgent issues facing our country and the world, let me assure you, Kamala and Tim hear you. They listen. They care, and everyone is included in their circle of compassion. They believe that everybody counts and everybody matters. Let's put a stop to the scam of Donald Trump once and for all, and let's put Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the White House. Let's go win.
We were just listening there to Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. Still ahead tonight, our special coverage of the Democratic National Convention continues. We're just hours away from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz introducing himself to the nation. Ahead, we speak to a former Minnesota high school student. The impact, he says, Walz made as a teacher and a mentor during one of the most difficult times of his life. We're going to have much more from Chicago. We have a quick break. Stay right with us. We are back now live from our special coverage of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. And as you can see from this camera right here, we are everywhere around the United Center. They're waving to me right behind that camera as well. We are everywhere at the United Center here in Chicago, covering every angle. We're going to learn a lot about the running mate of Kamala Harris tonight, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. He's preparing for his big speech where he will get a chance to introduce himself to America. Walz was a high school teacher and a football coach in rural Minnesota, where he worked with his wife, Gwen, in the 90s. He helped the students create the school's first gay-straight alliance. And one of the students who helped form that alliance, Jacob Reitan. He joins me now. He's now an LGBTQ activist and a lawyer. Jacob, thanks so much for joining our special coverage.
Thank you, Tom.
I know it's never easy to talk about someone that's so close to you and about a moment like this in your life. So you're in high school, and you approach your teacher. Take the story from there.
Sure. So, I mean, the 90s was not an easy time to be a gay student in America. And both Tim and Gwen Walz had made clear in discussions with me and in front of the classroom that they were welcoming teachers for gay and lesbian students. His wife, Gwen Walz, was actually the first adult that I told that I was gay to because of statements that she'd made in the classroom. So the Walzes made this Mankato West High School a safe place for me to come out.
What was it like? I mean, let's stop right there. What was it like to hear that, though, from two teachers?
It meant the world to me. I had never heard teachers say such affirming words before, ever. I didn't know any gay people at the time. There were no gay people at my high school. I was the first student to come out there. So they were very much ahead of the curve on this issue.
And how did you have that trust for Governor Tim Walz, who's your teacher at the time, to sort of head up this organization and put so much faith in him? Because he's also a football coach, right? So,
sure.
And again, Americans are getting to know him, so they don't know his story as much as you do.
Sure. So it was a discussion with my parents, the school principal, the school counselor, and the Walzes about who would be the best person to be the faculty advisor. Ultimately, we decided it was Tim, in large part because he was the football coach, because he was so well respected in the halls of West High School. It sent an important signal that acceptance is a value that we should all share.
And what was it about him that you knew you could trust him and you could talk to him about this?
Well, a lot of just individual discussions about what they had done as both Tim and Gwen for other students. They talked about the care they showed for a student when they were in Alliance, Nebraska, who was gay. I knew they had had a heart for this issue for many years.
Why do you think they did this?
I think they are motivated in large part by their faith in all that they do. In fact, they talked to me about that, in particular Gwen's faith, Lutheran faith. But they have a heart for students. They believe in empowering students. They believe in investing in their lives, and they put in the work. You know, he was the faculty advisor of the Gay Straight Alliance, but Tim Walz also spent a better part of a month building the sets for the Nerd when I was the Nerd and the Nerd. He was just an involved teacher in the school.
And so he's the football coach. He takes over this organization, this club, if you will. What happens? Is there blowback? Does he have to defend you? How does that work?
It wasn't without controversy. We put on a week at school called Anti-Oppression Week, and there were some students that disagreed with it. Posters got ripped down, and amongst other things. But Tim just said, keep your head down. Don't worry about people that disagree with you. Let's focus on raising awareness.
So he stood by your side the whole time, and that's why you're here tonight.
100%. I'm here because it's going to be how lucky we are we get to vote for someone like Tim Walz. Tim is out of central casting when it comes to a good and decent person.
Yeah. If they weren't there for you, what do you think would have happened?
Well, I think it's a ripple effect. Because they were there for me, I was able to come out, and because I was able to come out, other students were able to come out. So I'm thankful for the gift that they gave me 25 years ago.
Republicans are attacking the governor, saying he's a fraud in a sense, that he exaggerates his record. He's exaggerated things about his service. He's exaggerating things about the way he started a family. Again, this is what Republicans are saying. Some people may say it's semantics. What do you say to those Republicans?
Well, he served 24 years. I think if you're going to be arguing that there's something exaggerated about that, I think that's going to be a losing argument. Tim Walz is dedicated to his country. He was a dedicated soldier. He went above and beyond for his students. It's a mini high school reunion here tonight in Chicago. There's so many Mankato West alumni students here.
People love him so much they've showed up here.
Oh, a ton of us. And we've been sharing stories all night about the way that Tim Walz has impacted our life. And there's a whole section of Mankato West High School students here. We're here to support Tim because he's been such a role for us in our lives.
What can we oh, actually, you know what? We're going to take a pause right here. I'm being told by our control room. There's a family that has their loved ones as hostages right now in Gaza. They've taken the stage. Let's listen in for a moment.
At this moment, 109 treasured human beings are being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. They are Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists. They are from 23 different countries. The youngest hostage is a 1-year-old red-headed baby boy, and the oldest is an 86-year-old mustachioed grandpa. Among the hostages are 8 American citizens. One of those Americans is our only son. His name is Hirsch. He's 23 years old. And like Vice President Kamala Harris, Hirsch was born in Oakland, California. Hirsch is a happy-go-lucky, laid-back, good-humored, respectful, and curious person. He is a civilian. He loves soccer, is wild about music and music festivals, and he has been obsessed with geography and travel since he was a little boy. His bedroom overflows with atlases, globes, maps, and National Geographic magazines. On October 7th, Hirsch and his best friend, Honor, went to a music festival in the south of Israel. It was advertised as celebrating peace, love, and unity. They also went to celebrate Hirsch's 23rd birthday. As rockets began to fall, Hirsch, Honor, and 27 other young festival-goers took refuge in a 5-foot by 8-foot bomb shelter. Terrorists began to throw grenades into the shelter. Honor stood in the doorway and repelled 7 of those grenades before the 8th one killed him. Altogether at the Nova Music Festival, 367 young music lovers were killed. This was just one of the many attacks on neighborhoods and communities in southern Israel on that terrible day. In total, 1,200 were killed, including 45 Americans. Hirsch's left forearm, his dominant arm, was blown off before he was loaded onto a pickup truck and stolen from his life and me and John into Gaza. And that was 320 days ago. Since then, we live on another planet. Anyone who is a parent or has had a parent can try to imagine the anguish and misery that John and I and all the hostage families are enduring.
Rachel and I are comforted to be back in our sweet home, Chicago. We were both born and raised here, and our families still live here. This is a political convention, but needing our only son and all of the cherished hostages home is not a political issue. It is a humanitarian issue. The families of the American 8 hostages meet every few weeks in Washington. We're heartened that both Democratic and Republican leaders demonstrate their bipartisan support for our hostages being released. We've met with President Biden and Vice President Harris numerous times at the White House. They're both working tirelessly for a hostage and ceasefire deal that will bring our precious children, mothers, fathers, spouses, grandparents, and grandchildren home, and will stop the despair in Gaza. We are all deeply grateful to them. We're also profoundly thankful to you, the millions of people in the United States and all over the world who have been sending love, support, and strength to the hostage families. You've kept us breathing in a world without air. There is a surplus of agony on all sides of the tragic conflict in the Middle East. In a competition of pain, there are no winners. In our Jewish tradition, we say, Kol Adam Olam Umlo'o. Every person is an entire universe. We must save all these universes. In an inflamed Middle East, we know the one thing that can most immediately release pressure and bring calm to the entire region. A deal that brings this diverse group of 109 hostages home and ends the suffering of the innocent civilians in Gaza. The time is now.
Hirsch, if you can hear us, we love you. Stay strong. Survive.
Bring them home.
We've just been watching an incredibly emotional moment here in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention. The parents of Hirsch Goldberg-Polin, John and Rachel, addressing the convention hall here, speaking of their son, who has been a hostage in Gaza for more than 300 days so far, only 23 years old. Our Kelly O'Donnell was down at our platform cam, right really in the center of the convention hall. And Kelly, what struck me is that when they entered the convention hall, people gave them a standing ovation, and then they stayed standing listening to this emotional speech from two American parents talking about their son who has been held in Gaza for so long.
Tom, we've talked a lot about the energy and the emotions in this room over 3 nights. This was a moment that singularly stands out because the respect that this group here on the convention floor had for these parents. They recognized them immediately, understood who they were. We heard about the Chicago connection here, of course. And for many months, people have been seeing them talk about their son and the plight of the other hostages. And so to see the sense of calm that came over this convention, where there's been so much boisterous energy, a sense of recognizing the extraordinary experience they have gone through. And at least to my ear, I did not hear any protest or any discussion of the Gaza issues that, of course, have been rampant outside of the United Center here in Chicago. There was what seemed to be a deep respect for these parents who have been fierce advocates for their son and the other hostages. There'll be many things talked about through the days of this convention, but these parents, their story and their excruciating experience is something that will stand out. And implicit in everything they said is advocacy to try to get a resolution, not only for the Jewish people and the hostages, but to relieve suffering in Gaza. This will certainly stand out, and their advocacy and courage and their resilience is so notable. When there was that early ovation and she put her head down on the lectern, overcome by the emotion. So the emotion went both directions here, and it certainly is something that people will remember and will influence perhaps how they think about this issue, having seen them in person and heard their story. Tom?
Yeah, there were so many people here at the convention hall with tears in their eyes as they were listening to those parents basically tell their testimony and at the end send a message to their son who is still being held captive. Kelly O'Donnell, we always appreciate your reporting. Stand by for us. We will come back to you. Hallie Jackson's going to join our coverage right now. We're going to start the next hour right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.